Welcome to All Villa, No Filler. Please subscribe to the show. Follow us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. As we record this, the January transfer window is almost at an end. Aston Villa have been quietly active with the signings of Morgan Rogers and a few others in this window. Today, I'm joined by Neil Dunworth from the excellent For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. Neil, what have you made of Villa's transfer window?
Hi, Frankie. First of all, thanks a million for coming on, or for inviting me to come on, should I say. What have I made of Aston Villa's transfer window? It's been an interesting window. I think it's obviously a window whereby the club went, you know, like they obviously spotted and saw areas they needed to improve. I think it's been a very opportunistic window for Aston Villa. I think it's been a window that leads me to believe once again that Unai Emery ain't going anywhere anytime soon. When you see some of the age groups and some of the potential that we've brought into the side, and I suppose really we filled gaps in this January transfer window without spending an absolute ton of money. And I suppose really what my thoughts, my overarching feeling is right now is that it probably frees us up to go big game hunting in the summer. So obviously with financial fair play and stuff like that, if somebody does need to be sold, we don't know what the situation is there. Getting the Champions League has its own ramifications from the financial point of view. But I think what they wanted to do is they wanted to have a situation whereby they could identify areas that they wanted to close now, and then solidify then their effort on picking the right player, maybe right one or two players to splurge on during the summer. So for me, I'm really really interested in this window.
Yeah, same here. It's been fascinating, and obviously one of the names, well, the key name really that's caught the eye is Morgan Rogers. Not a player that immediately looking at his stats you go, well, this is the next Pele, but you assume with Monchi, Emery, scouting department, there are underlying stats there that are telling them this is a guy that we should get in. Of course, there was also the eye test from Middlesbrough playing Villa and various other games we'll have watched. But what are your thoughts on Morgan Rogers coming in?
I look. I suppose realistic in regards to a lot of people are looking at the statistical side of things, and anybody who's ever watched my podcast knows that I heavily favour statistics as well. But you need to have that eye test, as you mentioned too. This guy ain't a flash in the pan. It's not something whereby you're looking at Morgan Rogers and saying, "Oh, he's had a good 6 months at Middlesbrough." That's been a too often thrown out line. I think, even with regards to Middlesbrough fans as well. And no offense to them if any are watching, but from speaking to Middlesbrough fans as well, they're happy with the amount of money they receive. But Aston Villa have been looking to sign this guy for years, and
Mm.
so it's not a slapdash effort. It's not something because they watched him play against Chelsea on TV or against us in the cup or anything like that. The guy's had serious. A serious kind of a halo around his head from the age of 16 when he moved from West Brom to Manchester City. He was under the tutelage of Mark Harrison at West Brom, which obviously, he's going to know exactly what how this guy is thought of. It also has come to light recently as well from reading some articles that Tajiki Bernstein was the man who just had to have Morgan Rogers at Manchester City, spending 6 million on him. Pretty good talent identifier, I think. Mr. Bernstein is, and also Pep Guardiola was quite enthralled by him as well. They got him loan moves quite early, which is something that Manchester City. I'm not going to say that they haven't done, but they do. They usually tend to do with people that they're probably that they see maybe doesn't have a pathway through to the first team in the immediate future. And if the opportunity came to sell them, if the opportunity came up to sell them, they were going to do that. So he's had a couple of loan moves. He's 21 years of age. He's played senior football for three different teams now.
Mm.
And I think that experience is invaluable, and that's something that Unai Emery will be looking for with him. Obviously Middlesbrough are making a massive profit on this. But what I've seen from him, I suppose, in any of the videos I've watched of him, or I trawl through Y Scout for hours on him as well, watching footage there. He's a ball carrier. A lot of people have said that before, since he signed. He's a real ball carrier. He's a big unit. At 6 foot. You see him in those pictures beside Monchi and beside Unai Emery.
Mm.
He must be 6'2", at least I would say 6'2". He's a big unit for 21. I think he's going to get a bit more meat in his bones as well over the course. Not too much. We're not talking about completely taking agility out of his game, but I think he he stands to maybe put on a small bit more muscle mass. And potentially, I think over time he will move more into that support striker role as opposed to being in the left sided midfielder role. His ball carrying ability and his unpredictability and his ability to strike the ball cleanly, I think, are his three biggest attributes from what I've seen. And also, when you look at him statistically as well, you put him up against Ollie Watkins, you put him up against any of the wingers that we have, or any of the attacking players that we have outside of Ollie Watkins. His defensive work, or the amount of defensive duels and the amount of defensive actions he takes per game, is really impressive. And I don't think that jumps off the page an awful lot for people, but specifically when jumps off the screen when you're watching him. But he does do it, and I think that's drawn Unai Emery to him as well. So a lot to like from him. Hale's own guy, head screwed on. You can just see his picture. He brought all his family with him to sign the contract today, and I think they're going to be proud as punch being Hale's old people. And I don't think we've ever gotten the question answered as to whether he's a Baggies fan or a Villa fan. But I've no doubt we'll probably know that before 8 o'clock this evening when Villa release their first interview with him.
Hopefully he was a well brought up young man and chose the correct team, unlike Jude Bellingham, who made the very wrong choice. But with Morgan Rogers, I read an Opta analyst
Yes.
review of him earlier, and it was something that caught my eye was how he likes to play between the lines, which is, I think, of the Newcastle game where Tielemans and Zaniolo operated. He loves to have the ball into his feet, which I think is one of the most difficult skills in all of football, and he's apparently exceptional at it. And a high creator, so he loses the ball a lot, but that's obviously what high creative players try to do, because obviously they try and make things happen, and it doesn't always work. So certainly a lot there. And do you feel like there's a lot that you can be sort of molded into a variety of positions? Could he be where Ramsey is on that left midfield role, as second striker, or even maybe in future filling a sort of Ollie Watkins style role up front?
I think he'll have to be in the interim. I suppose, in the initial period of his development within the Premier League, I think he'll have to be. He'll have to be positionally fluid because I can see him playing on the left. I can see him playing behind Ollie Watkins. I can see him in a push without having a John Duran and Nicolas Zaniolo at the moment. Like, I suppose his loan situation will become more apparent as the league season goes on. But I think that he would probably be utilised in those three positions. And I'm okay with that. I'm absolutely okay with it. Now, Unai Emery is too, because positional versatility is something I think that Unai Emery wants a bit more within this team. He's tried it with a lot of players. He's tried it with Diaby. It's not quite working with Diaby at the moment. Having him as that support striker doesn't seem to have enough strength or power to his game. And, you saw him against Fabian Schär's Botman the other day. Even Dan Burn, they were able to keep him at arm's length, literally, so that he couldn't get to the ball. I think his future obviously is very bright, the Abbeys. Don't get me wrong on this. I think maybe a return to a more traditional kind of wing role for him might be something that we will see in the coming weeks. But with regards to Rodgers, he has that one up on pretty much any attacker that we have in the team outside Zaniolo and John Duran, who's injured. Whereas he's quite built, and he's a bigger body as well in there. So I think over time I think he'll start off as that left player. I think he'll probably play as number 10. And I'm not quite sure whether he wants to be a number 9. But there's been quite a lot. You read through some of the old strikers of yesteryear, and they all say, I didn't really want to be the main striker. I wanted to play in the wing, or I wanted to play midfielder, or whatever. And they end up being bloody good strikers. Or people who are like Didier Drogba was a right back until he wasn't, and they turned out to be a brilliant striker. Same with Lewandowski was, I think he played in defence somewhere, and then all of a sudden turns out to be a 30-goal a year striker. So sometimes people playing in positions out of spite can help, and hopefully Morgan Rogers is one of those.
Yeah, completely. I'm pretty excited about the Rodgers signing, actually. As I said, it's just something I'm sure the scouting department have seen that hopefully he can fulfill, particularly under a nurturing coach like Unai Emery.
Yeah.
Now, one other young signing we've made, Kosta Nedeljkovic. That's what I'm going with. I still haven't found the official pronunciation of his surname yet, but 18 years of age, Red Star Belgrade. He's gone back on loan there. Reported fee around £7 million. Any thoughts on him?
Very much a needed position. The longer we can keep Ezri Konsa as a centre half, I think the better. Now, I'm not averse to him playing on the right as well, as we've seen, but I think we needed another right back in there. This guy gives us, once again, power and pace that we have. I'm going to say that we've been lacking, and that's not in the front than Matty Cash. He's just a different type of player to Matty Cash. But Nedeljkovic is in Serbia is being touted as being the heir apparent to Branislav Ivanovic, you know,
Mhm.
and give me Branislav Ivanovic any day of the week and twice on a Sunday because he was very, very economical, tough, and just bloody good defender.
Mm.
And if he does fulfill his prophecy of being the next Branislav Ivanovic, I think that's it's a no brainer that you would take him in that position. Once again, I've seen a lot of footage of him from my scout as well. And very, very competent defender at 18 years of age. Once again, fully there, a fully grown man at 18,
Yeah.
you know, and I think there's a lot of that thought in some of the signings, even when we probably get on to talk about Lino Sousa as well in a moment with regards to that. The Delkovic is all there, you know. He's not going to get muscled off it, and I think the smart move of keeping him with Belgrade was key in us getting this one over the line. For all the world in Serbia, they thought he was nailed on to go to RB Salzburg or Leipzig. I can't remember, one of the RB teams. And then all of a sudden, Villa came out of nowhere and stole him. I'm all for it. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing him next year. I think
Mm.
his pathway to the team next year is very clear, and I think the club are really excited about him, and that just goes to show why they probably pounced first for him, being our first signing within this transfer window, and we're so willing to let him go back out the Red Star for the rest of the year. So I think if you were to pin Monchi down and say which one's your favorite, he's going to go. Nedeljkovic is going to be an absolute star. I think that's what he's going to say.
Yeah, the clips I've seen of him, just his athleticism alone, just on the eye test, getting back and forth, his speed of movement, ability to tackle. It does look like there's something there with him as well. And again, like you know, there's a pathway on that right back role, isn't there? There's clearly vulnerability there for Matty and so I'm fascinated to see how he develops under Unai Emery. And also, Monchi has a great track record of signing relatively not well-known fullbacks. Dani Alves back at
Yeah,
Sevilla. He turned out not to be too bad himself either. So,
never heard of him.
yeah. But another fullback, as you mentioned just there, Lino Sousa. He's arriving from Arsenal, another former baggy. We love signing those young West Brom academy
Yeah.
starlets. Any knowledge about him at all? I mean, all I know is that Arsenal fans online didn't seem too happy about him leaving. But anything you know about him?
So I spoke to Will Banton from the Hill End Productions yesterday, and he avidly watches all of Arsenal's youth teams and youth setups. He thinks this guy is really good. He understands why he's been moved on. There's been no fee for this one, which is interesting. He said the numbers he's seen is ranging anywhere from about 2 million up to 6 million for this guy. But
Okay.
he personally felt it was in around the 2 million mark. But I'm sure that will all come out in the wash at some stage. His overarching feeling for this was that the pathway for Lino Sousa was blocked. They have last year they got rid of Kieran Tierney, they got rid of Joe. Is it not Joe Gomez? Um, I can't remember his name, but there was a guy who's gone back to La Liga as well. That opened the door for Lino Sousa to maybe start to climb the ladder within Arsenal. I'd say it didn't happen quick enough for him, and he wanted to move on for regular football. Arsenal they haven't been great at loaning out players, and they've kind of
Mm.
stockpiled youth players in the youth sides for a while. It's led to them losing the likes of Lino Sousa, and also there was another guy who left yesterday as well, and there's somebody gone on loan to Swansea today, but their loans manager had left the club. He was replaced. He went to become Norwich's head of football, and they replaced that loans manager who seems to be busy already today. As I said, there's somebody gone to Swansea, and there's rumours two or three more are going out the door as well. So there was a kind of a stagnation for the youth players there, and I think some of them have decided to go and to leave and find pastures new. But the big thing I think about Sousa again is once again was with was with West Brom before. So like that's the bingo card that you got to tick off. Mark Harrison's going to know him inside out, but Villa wanted to sign him. Villa wanted to sign him just like they did with Rodgers. They wanted to sign him before he left and went to Arsenal. So he's a player that they would have known a lot about at that age. Physically, he's big, strong, and athletic. Again, like we spoke about Nedeljkovic. This guy's 6'1". We could have a hulking backline at some stage if Nedeljkovic hits the ground running, and so as it comes in and hits the ground running, we'll have a back four that are all over 6 foot. And my God, best of luck scoring the goal that Fabian Schär scored against us, the first goal. If we have something like that set up, because I think we are a small bit undersized in certain areas, I think, on the field, albeit Shar beat Ezri Konsa for that goal. But one of the big things they mentioned with this guy is that he comes into that inverted left back role that Zinchenko plays. He was playing that before Zinchenko played it, albeit he was playing it at that underage level. Ideally, that they say that he can play in both positions. He can play as a traditional left back or come in that inverted role, incredibly comfortable with the ball at his feet at his level, the mind and untested at senior level as well. But they are a small bit disappointed that they've lost him because of the fact that they lost another starlet last season at left back, and they feel that they're not very well stocked in the underage departments at left back as well. So Villa saw the shot and they took it, I think, with this one, and Arsenal were willing to let him go. By all means, as I say, he can turn out for England. And he has up to under 19 level, I think, as well, and he's also eligible for Portugal. And just remind me, Frankie. I don't know if has there ever been anyone else that's been eligible for England and Portugal on this Villa team as well that it didn't turn out too bad. So
Yeah,
yeah, if he turns out to be an Ezri Konsa, only a
yeah.
left-footed version, I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be just fine.
Yeah, no, I'm quite excited by that signing. I'm excited by all of them. The idea of bringing in young players with high potential. That's how I like teams to approach things. And, two others we've signed, not expecting many people to know too much about them from up in Europe. We've signed Australian goalkeeper Joe Gauci, I think it's called. Sounds a little bit like
Yeah,
a mafia henchman. Also joined from Adelaide United in the low millions. And
yeah,
also a goalkeeper position. Obviously, that's an area we need stronger backup, I think, for Emi Martinez. And also quietly today, 16-year-old Keilan Quinn looks like he's on his way
yes.
from West Brom to Villa for 1 million quid. I mean, so these are a lot of young players we've signed. We're clearly prioritizing youth rather
Hmm.
than in previous years where we went and signed the likes of Luca Dean for a lot of money, the same period 2 years ago. So what is this telling us, do you think, about the approach going forward from Monchi and Emery?
I think that's like I think filling those gaps in those understudy positions with younger players. Like Morgan Rogers has come in for whatever it ends up costing us, 15 million all in all, including add-ons or whatever. He's
Mm.
initially going to be an understudy, like whether he's playing in the 10 position when Buendia comes back, he's going to be an understudy. He's going to be an understudy to Ramsey when Ramsey's on form or when Ramsey's back in the team. Initially, he's going to be an understudy. Nedeljkovic is going to be an understudy initially as well. Sousa is going to be an understudy. So what it means is they're looking for really athletic, really promising, good players that are in good standing within their clubs already, finding these opportunity costs and bringing them in to back up our team initially, because they have all the potential in the world in 2 years' time to replace aging players. Luca Dean ain't a spring chicken. He's younger than me, but he's not a spring chicken, and he's on high wages. Alex Moreno's over 30 as well. You go to the other side. We've got Ken Kessler Hayden, all right, yes, but Matty Cash is mid-20s, all right, that's not old, but we don't have anybody else there. So Nedeljkovic,
Mm.
as I say, probably has the clearer pathway through. You look at goalkeeping positions as well. 23-year-old goalkeeper. He's known to the new under 21s manager that's come into Aston Villa. He's known to him from because that manager spent a lot of time in Australia. Now their paths didn't cross. I thought initially that they had been on the same teams together, or he managed the team when Gauci was there. But it seems to be the knowledge or the intel from this guy came from the new under 21s coach, once again, whose name I can't pronounce and is escaping me at the moment, Josip Gambu or something like that. I can't pronounce his name. So what we tend to see is that Monchi is not coming in and going, I know I'm the only one. If I can't get it done, no one else can get it done. So all your ideas, you can shove them where the sun don't shine. He's relying on other people's ideas. And
Mm.
that's smart from him because he doesn't know the English game. And while it's not rocket science in a lot of ways, he's relying. It shows that great ingenuity, because a lot of people would have expected this to be a closed shop. Okay, the two Spanish guys are going to go into a room and come up with their targets. It hasn't been that case at all. It hasn't been that case at all. Like you see the West Brom links, you see the links to the other different links. Like Aaron Danks is at Middlesbrough. I would be blown away with a feather if you told me that Aaron Danks didn't have at least an hour long phone call with somebody about Morgan Rogers this year. Like
Mm.
they're utilizing inside knowledge or internal knowledge, and they're using it with the likes of Monchi. And I'm sure in the summer Monchi's going to have his Pau Torres and those type. That big sign is going to come through the door, and it will be him, and he'll be the man. But I like that collaborative kind of aspect that this seems to show, that they're getting together, they're utilizing a brain trust, and we'll see what the outcome of it is. But they're signing good prospects, and as you said before, they have a nurturing manager and a professor who hopefully will be able to bring them from A to B and on to whatever number they're gonna land on, as they go through their development.
Yeah,
Or
Professor
letter
Unai.
they're going to land on.
Yeah, if I was a young player, there's not many people who want to work with more than Professor Unai. But looking ahead to the summer, given the signings we've made, anywhere you still think they'll be prioritizing to improve?
I think we go big game hunting in defensive midfielder position and striker, and then we draw a line under it. I'm not expecting a busy summer. I'm expecting two bigger name players, and I'm expecting them to empty their budget on a striker and on a defensive midfielder. And to be honest with you, I really can't see an awful lot of holes in the team. I guess you're putting an awful lot of faith in these young guys that we've just brought in, but there's a reason that you would have bought them now, and that's to do that. So that they're the two areas I think we will be looking at and looking for. Obviously, we've got Tyrone Mings coming back into our back line. We've got Emi Buendia coming back in our attacking line. We have I'm trying to think of other players that are out at the moment. John Duran is injured. Whether he's here next season or not, I don't know. But I don't think his status will stop us from going out and buying another striker. I'm not saying that we go and buy a £50 million striker or anything like that, but I think another striker will come in. I've always been of the opinion that if the right 30-plus-year-old striker comes available for Unai Emery, he's going to pounce on him and get him in for like the 8, 9, 10 million bracket. It just always seems right. Now, I've not been proven right so far. I've been looking very silly with regards to that, and he's been reluctant to do it. But potentially, I think that if somebody's worked with before comes available like that he could be someone who comes in there. And I definitely think we're going to need more steel in midfield. So while there will be, I think there's definitely one midfielder, defensive type midfielder to come in. Maybe there's another box to box midfielder that's a bit more bold, like willing to throw a foot in here and maybe kick someone in the chest every 3 or 4 weeks. I think somebody like that this team could do it. But outside of that, we're pretty good. We're pretty good from numbers point of view.
Yeah, I think
and because of this window we are. It's because of this window that we've just had that we are.
Exactly. This window set us up quite nicely for looking ahead, I think. Fixed one or two backup positions that weren't quite right. Just quickly on the game this weekend, we've lost to Newcastle, disappointing loss, but Sheffield United away. I'm going to that game. I went to the last one as well, actually, where they just put 11 behind the ball. How are you feeling about this weekend?
I'm feeling great, feeling as good as I do about going into any games. We have to remember Sheffield United are bottom of the table for a reason. And I know that they came and frustrated us and they got that goal and we had Zaniolo came on and equalised afterwards. But that was that game and this is this game. We have the better players, we have the better manager, we're better set up. Also, I'm probably feeling great about it because I have just come off the stage after interviewing Paul McGrath. I'll be in a room with 250 Aston Villa fans roaring my guts up. So that's probably why I've got a false equivalence of hope for this one. But genuinely, I think Villa fans should be hopeful going into this one. I think we should be, even though it's an away game, I think we should be expectant. I really do. I really feel we should be expectant because it's the rubbers meeting the road right now. Regards to, are we going to be top four? Well, if we're going to be top four, we've got to go out and beat Sheffield United. Yeah. And if we're going to, and I don't see any reason why we can't. If we play like we did in the second half against Newcastle United, we will beat Sheffield United. It's that simple. But Villa have gotten into this kind of situation recently since the Arsenal game, really, whereby we've not put 90 minutes together. This team has had a habit of doing this under various different managers, whether it be Dean Smith, Steven Gerrard, lest we mention his name, and onto Unai Emery. It hasn't been so prevalent. But we've gotten into a situation whereby we're getting results and not playing 90 minutes of football, albeit we lost to Newcastle and to Manchester United. So a 90-minute game from Aston Villa, and we win. We win on Saturday. And I know people will think I'm being overly confident, but, we're fourth in the league for a reason, or fifth in the league now for a reason. So let's go and do it. Let's go and beat Sheffield United. Let's leapfrog Spurs again, and let's go on towards fourth position or third position or wherever, and stamp our ticket to the Champions League. Because if we don't beat Sheffield United, well, it's not over. It's like, it just puts us behind the eight ball again. So
Mm.
I'm all for it. Yeah, go
No,
win. That's all I think.
totally with you. That's exactly how I'm thinking about it as well for this weekend. Got to go winning. I think we can absolutely. But quickly, you just mentioned it there. You're going to be doing a big old show with Paul McGrath himself, the Paul McGrath, possibly the greatest central defender of all time, in my view. Um, Tell us a little bit about it. What's going on?
So it was came out of nowhere about 3.5 weeks ago. We had an opportunity, or we've been trying to get Paul McGrath, obviously namesake of the podcast and all around my idol. We've been trying to get him on the podcast for ages and ages and ages, and we finally we thought I won't say we'd given up, but we were like, oh, I don't know when we'll ever get this opportunity again. And then my co-host Paddy sent out a speculative text message to somebody who wasn't even who we didn't even realize was connected with Mr. McGrath. And then all of a sudden it snowballed from there. And before you know, we have a venue organized and we have everything done, and there's tickets on sale. And yeah, as I say, we held a live event in September just gone. And we had Ian Taylor, Dan Bardell, Max, and Simon from Villa and Tour, and Adam
Mm.
Slack from the Struts all came to it. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. And I noticed while the weather won't be anything like it was in September, because it's not supposed to be great on Saturday, we will have the god of both Irish and Aston Villa football himself there, and it's going to be great. So I'm looking forward to interviewing him. Hoping that we can get it recorded. At the moment, we're still not sure, but hoping we can get it recorded and popped out so that other people can see it. But it's great. Like, Paul isn't very. He doesn't do a ton of events, and specifically doesn't do a ton of events in Ireland. And so a lot of people have never met him, and there's going to be a meet and greet session beforehand as well. It's just I'm just so proud of being able to put it on, and of the work that Paddy's done with it as well, and just so excited to be able to meet the person who got me following football, as a kid. And and I'll be a blubbering mess probably on the stage. I'll be like, I won't be able to cope with all the amount of plaudits I'm going to give him, but I don't care. As I said, it's a bucket list moment, and really looking forward to it now.
Yeah, he was a player for all time, an incredible player. And as I say, I remember
Absolutely.
watching, growing up supporting Aston Villa when I was very young, and obviously following Ireland as well, the Irish family. And I remember the Italia '94, and
Yeah,
sorry, the US '94 being Italy, and
94.
just the memories of Villa as well. It's just a very, very special person in both our lives, of course. So
Mm.
what an amazing thing to hear that you're going to be doing a show and getting to chat to him. And I wish you all the best with it.
Thank
Neil,
you.
for those who I'm sure most people already follow you who are watching this, but for those who don't, where can we find you online?
Yeah, I'm most active on Twitter still, or whatever it's called now, at Love McGrath Pod. You'll find us. As I say, you type in Paul McGrath podcast, and we're probably the only one that's going to pop up. So you'll find us on any podcast platforms and on YouTube as well. And again, Frankie, thank you so much for having me on. Really enjoying what you're doing at the moment as well. You've put out some absolutely bangers of podcasts over the last few weeks, and yeah, I'm really thankful that you asked me to come on today.
No, that's worried. That's very kind of you to say. And Neil, it's always an absolute pleasure to chat to you.
Thank you so much.